I was a child. No one protected me.
Yeah.
Why was no one protecting me?
Today I'm going to introduce to you a woman who is so courageous, so brave, and so resilient.
I just had an EBT card and my siblings, and I was taking them to school and not going to school.
Her name is Roslyn, and her story is one of hope and healing.
And he would do stuff to them, and I was so young and I couldn't defend myself with him.
She is here today because she believes that no one should have to go through the hard things alone.
Losing a child is the most traumatic thing that I've ever gone through and had to overcome.
Her story just might be the one thing someone else needed to hear today. Before we begin today's episode, I want to take a moment to let you know that this conversation includes an open and honest discussion about suicide, suicidal ideation, and mental health. If you or someone you love is struggling right now, please know that help is available. Call or text 988 to reach the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline any time of day or night. Welcome to the podcast today, Roz. We're so happy that you're here. And although it's a heavy subject, I feel honored that you chose our podcast to share this story with people, because I think that the message that you have today is going to really help a lot of people to understand kind of the process of the way things sometimes go for us and how to overcome really hard things, because you've done that and your story is beautiful. So let's get into it.
Okay.
So before we go into the story part, I want to start with who you are right now and how you would describe yourself today.
I am a mother of 6 and I'm a child of God. And I believe that if I didn't have my faith, I wouldn't be who I am today. And then I'm a mother. So child of God first, and I'm a mother, and then a wife. And I'm just a person living in a crazy world. That's it. That's what I would describe myself as. I'm a kind. I try to be as positive as possible, and that's basically how I live my life. I just keep living.
Just keep living.
Yes.
I love that, because the way that you live, you're truly living. Even though you've been through or experienced some heavy things, you show up every day and you still live your life. And I think that's so beautiful that you've grown to that place, because that's where we should all be. That's where I want to be every day, is just living my life. You used a word to describe yourself in our pre-interview that I love, and that's survivor. What does that word mean to you personally? Not like the dictionary definition, but what it means when you say it about yourself.
When I say that about myself, I say that because I've went through so many things. I've went through childhood trauma. I've went through grief in so many different ways. In relationships, in losing people I really love, and I feel like I've survived, and I am living a life that I never thought I would ever live. So when I describe myself as a survivor, that's really who I am. I'm surviving and still surviving in this life, and just living day by day in a positive direction. So
That's beautiful. And you love God. And I love that, because I think when you really get to know who God is, you really get to realize how much love He has for us and how much He really is there for us, especially through those dark times.
yes.
And you love being a mother. And then also you told us that you like to shop and journal, which I think is really cool too. My business partner, Dee Dee, she loves journaling. So you guys have that in common. I love shopping, so I guess the three of us could just hang out.
Yeah.
What do those things give you? You know, being a daughter of God and a mother, and then your fun things that you like to do, like journal and shopping. Like, what do those things do for you?
They keep me motivated. They keep me going. They keep me wanting to live. Like, if I didn't have faith, I don't think I would keep going and doing these other things. but having faith keeps me in a positive direction. And I say positive direction because that's what it does for me. Faith is everything for me, because if I didn't have something to believe in and to feel loved and to just know God, then I would have nothing. Like, I have my kids, but if I didn't have that love that I I really wanted in life as a child and growing up, even into a young adult and becoming a mother, if I didn't find that, then I don't think that I would be able to enjoy anything, because I would
Mm.
just still feel so sad and so lost and not
Empty.
wanted. Yeah, and empty. Like,
Yeah.
having that faith gives you hope.
Mm.
Having that faith gives you the positivity and something to look forward to. And just knowing that even in the trials, someone is there.
Mhm.
You're loved.
Yeah. The best person to be there through trials, in my opinion.
Yes,
The one that has all of the things that we need.
exactly.
I love that even though he could take everything away if he wanted to, he doesn't, because he lets us learn the lessons we need to learn through those
Hmm.
hard times. But he's always there to help us through those hard times.
Yes.
And that's something that I've seen just in our short time speaking before we started. I see that in you. And I think it's so beautiful that you embody this love, because you love other people too. It's not just about you and your family. It's about helping and being there for other people too.
Yep.
So you're originally from Hawaii,
Hmm.
which we can hear in your
Yeah.
beautiful voice and your beautiful accent. What was it like growing up there, and what do you carry from that place?
Um, it was really nice to be able to grow up in the middle of the ocean, because you get to go to the beach, you get to fish, you get to grow your own, veggies and grow your own plants without even having to worry about it dying. I mean, the one thing that I take away from Hawaii is the beauty that surrounds that island that I
Mm.
live at. Like, being able to just go to the beach and just listen to the ocean, it's therapeutic, you know? And moving away, that's what I carry. It's still like the sound of the ocean, you
Yeah,
know? I have a shell, you put the conch shell or the shell next to your ear, and you can hear the ocean, the
yeah,
sound of the ocean. So that's what I take away, and aloha. And when I say aloha, I mean it in a loving way. Like, no matter where you go, you spread love.
mhm.
Even if it's not in favor of yourself, it's not that hard to be kind, you know?
It's true.
Yeah.
I believe that very much myself as well. So now let's go back to the beginning of Roz's life, um, because your story starts really early
Mhm.
and it starts hard. And I want to honor that by giving it the space that it deserves. So you grew up in a home with a lot of pain from a very young age. Without going further than you're comfortable, what was it like, and what did it do to that little girl that you were?
Well, it all started to go down here hill at 5 years old. I was 5 years old when I can remember when all the abuse started happening. And that's like when my dad went into heavy drugs, started doing a lot of drugs. And my mom, she was so used to being abused because of how she was raised. She had seven brothers and just her and her two sisters. So she came from a big family. But growing up, she was abused herself. So she was so like used to it, and my dad going into drugs became very abusive to my mom, so I'd watch him do drug deals and whatnot and abuse my mom. And when he got tired of abusing my mom, he started abusing me. And it was like from 5 years old, I seen it all: drugs and abuse. And then he started hitting me at around 6, I would say. The abuse with my mom started at 5, when I could remember, when I was old enough to remember. But around 6 years old is when my dad started hitting me and, swearing and cussing at me. Um, and so it just progressed. And then I was about 7 years old when my mom had my brother after me. And the abuse just got worse with my mom. And then they had another baby. Um, And my mom was then being forced, like, I would watch my dad force her to do drugs. Like, she didn't want to do it, but it was something that he made her do. And even when she was pregnant, and I watched this progress, and around and he was in and out of jail. So he was like there but not there. So he would come out, try to start off again, ended up in drugs, ended up beating up my mom, and we were living in cars, um and it would the living situation was just all over the place. I never had like a stable home, and they neglected things that I needed to do. They neglected taking us to the dentist, to the doctors. Um, I suffered with a lot of pain in my mouth, and my dad would hit me and tell me to shut up when I would be in a lot of pain, and with them doing so much drugs around me, I would get sick constantly. And even my baby brothers, they were always like on antibiotics and whatnot because the cigarette smoke, the drugs, just being in a room with all of that constantly made us sick as
Mm.
kids. And eventually, my dad went into jail for a very long time. In around seventh grade, I believe, he came out and he's trying to be clean. He ended up in drugs again. And that's when he started abusing me. He doesn't remember these things because he was high.
Mm.
Um, and he whipped ice at me when I was sleeping on the ground one day because he wanted me to help him get up and deliver paper. And that was his job at the time because he was a felon, so he couldn't get any kind of real job. So he was delivering newspaper, and he whipped ice at me while I was sleeping on the floor. And so I eventually was crying, got up, had to help him. And another occasion where he broke a stool over my back. And it was a day that my mom went out shopping with her parents, and my cousin was with them, and they came back. And I mean, I was with them. I think I was with them, if I can recall. And we came home, and he was really pissed. But then again, like I said, the abuse started getting worse. Kind of swayed away from my mom and started hitting me. And I think he thought that would hurt her by hurting me.
Mm.
Um, and he broke a stool over my back, a wooden stool. And my cousin, who was same age as me, tried to defend me, and he kind of like hit him to the point where he flew. So he got scared, and my cousin ran. But that's like one of the situations that I recall with my father. But any time he would be high, he would like backhand me or pull my hair. And then when he wasn't high, he would treat me really nice. So it was like, with drugs involved, it
Mm.
would go up, down with my father, and he was in and out of jail. And that was just one of the situations that I could recall with him. But because my father wasn't there, my mom would be staying off and on with like my grandparents, and we were there, me and my two younger brothers that they had. And we had an uncle that was very touchy, and he from like when we were staying with my grandparents, and they kind of had like a shack that we were staying in, that they built rooms and whatnot. And we were staying in that room with my mom's brother, who was touching me and my siblings, and they were babies. They were like really small, and
Mm.
he would do stuff to them, and I was so young and I couldn't defend myself with him. And that's when like all of that started happening, and my mom was aware of it. She wouldn't stop any of it. And it progressed, the molestation. And so I was being molested for, I don't even know how long, for a few years. That was ongoing because my dad wasn't there, because my dad's not that kind of abuser. He's a physical abuser, so he doesn't like that. Um, so when he came out, he heard about it, but he went back in because he violated his parole. And so I ended up just being left with my brothers at one point because my mom ended up finding this other dude, and she like would leave and leave me with the boys. And therefore I was around my other uncles who were on drugs. And so not only was I being molested, I was also being abused physically by my other uncles who were getting high, right? Because I knew right from wrong. Like me, I was a protector for my young siblings. I was always being left with them, because my parents were high or doing some kind of drug deal. And I was just such a young kid being taking on this responsibility. And for a kid who goes through trauma, they end up they end up being like either protective or going the other way,
Mm.
end up doing drugs or doing something crazy, or end up being who I was. Like I was a protector. In my eyes, I wanted to protect my siblings. Like, and being that my dad was in and out of jail, and my story is like all over the place because there's just so much. But I'm trying to say what I can kind of remember from all the trauma. I don't really think about it anymore. So like bringing it back up, it's like all over. But I eventually was left with my brothers, and I wanted to take my life. And my mom had like so much pills, and you know and after going through all the abuse, her leaving me with my uncles and getting abused even more, like I just didn't want to live. And I wanted to take my siblings with me because I didn't want them to grow up and have to suffer like how I did. And mind you, I had an older brother who got adopted by my dad's parents, because I say he comes from wealth, right? So they took him. They didn't want to take me. I'm of Japanese ancestry, and so they like raising just boys. It was just my dad and my uncle, and then they adopted my brother. They didn't want me. They didn't want my younger siblings. It was just him. So me, I had to deal with all the trauma, all the abuse, and I didn't want to see my siblings go through that. And so I was just like, I wanted to die. So I had all these pills available to me, and I was in the ninth grade at the time. And so I called my friend's mom. I said, I'm going to kill myself. Like, I don't want to live, and I'm going to take my brothers with me. She called the cops. She turned my mom in, and it was like for a month that I was taking care of them, and no one knew. I just had an EBT card and my siblings, and I was taking them to school and not going to school. And I was ninth grade. And so I got so tired of it, and like all the abuse from my dad, from the molestation, and I didn't talk about it, but I got gotten raped at one point too from someone that was not in our family, but was dating someone in our family. And I don't really talk about that because I try to like, I don't want to remember it, and, but that had happened to me. Besides being molested, I was raped, I was molested, I was abused by my dad, my uncles. Um, and so I finally hit rock bottom in ninth grade. CPS was called. Fortunately, we got blessed with a really good I got blessed with a really good foster parent. I actually went into a girl's home, and the guy who actually removed us, his family became my foster parent, and then they ended up taking in my two siblings. So we never got like really separated.
Yeah.
We were in the same family. Um, and I ended up going to a lot of therapy because my foster mom is who she is. She's a loving, kind, good person. Like the family that we got placed in, they were all part of social work in some kind of way. And so I got blessed. And that's why I say, like, I truly believe that God is real, because so many things I went through, like all the trials, I stay positive in it because something good came out of it somehow, some way. And I don't just believe that happens by chance. And we got blessed with a good foster parent. My brothers got blessed with good foster parents, and I got the help I needed. And if I didn't get the help I needed, me today, I wouldn't know how to cope in this crazy world.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know how to know right from wrong, like really. And being that I had to grow up so quickly with all that trauma, like if I didn't receive the help, the therapy, and just talking to other children who went through the same things that I went through, and that's how I actually healed. I met other kids who went through worse than I did. And so when I compared myself to that, I said, you know what? What am I crying about? You know, I looked at somebody else's story and I was like, you know what? I'm here. I have more than other people who went through what I went through. And I'm going to No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to pick myself up. I'm not going to self pity. And I'm going to use my testimony to help someone else out there. And then, I mean, I've always been that way, because even after foster care, I went and I spoke in front of foster kids, like sharing my story, tried to give other kids hope. And then I went and had kids, and becoming a parent was really rough. I ain't gonna lie. It was a challenging situation, going through health issues and then having two kids with a guy who I'm not with, and and then losing a kid and then getting married. Um, but from childhood trauma into grief. So I know I'm like all over the place. It's because I'm talking about trauma in my,
Okay.
my childhood. But
Okay.
it was 2024 is when I lost my mom. I think I lost her in August, and I didn't know. No one told me until my cousin decided to call me and be like, "Oh, your mom died." And it was rough because I was kind of like the only kid that really knew her. Like, I know that's my mom. Like, I know her. My older brother doesn't know her. My two younger siblings don't know her. I know her. So it kind of hurt because I didn't get to say goodbye. But,
Yeah.
it happens. And so you just pray in the moments where you get really emotional.
Yeah.
So I prayed, and, I found out the details, called the hospital. It so happened my cousin was there drawing blood on her auntie when it all happened. Like, I didn't know that she died in her sleep. Like, she cried herself to her death. So I don't even know how she died, but they tried to revive her, and my cousin was saying that she had a lot of tears in her eyes. I didn't even get to say goodbye.
Yeah.
So it kind of hurt. But my mom knew that I loved her. I wish I could have gave her what I had because she didn't have a chance to heal. She only knew what she came from, and she had told me that. And that's how I forgave her, because everybody has a story and you can't just be mad at people and not understand what they went through. And even with my father, so I had a moment with my dad back when I was in Hawaii because I wanted him to be in his grandkids' lives. And I wanted to him to have a healthy relationship with my kids, because he's not bad to my kids, but he'll be bad to me because that's just who he is to me. Um and he finally told me, he's like, "I'm sorry for everything that happened to you." And he's like, "I don't remember the things that I did to you, and I'm sorry." But he said that it happened to him growing up, and that's why he did drugs. So I kind of understood, and I felt so bad because I just judged him for so long, not understanding. But after hearing what my dad told me, and I'm not going to share into detail what happened to him because that's his testimony, but stuff had happened to him that was covered up his whole life. So when he became an adult, he's a good person before drugs. My dad was an amazing person. That's who I wish he was my entire life. But I understand now, and I'm
Yeah.
always going to understand and still not judge him, even though he doesn't want to be in my life right now. That he went through things that no one taught him how to cope with, how to heal from. So he covered it up with something that made him feel good. That gave him a high. And so I'm at a point in my life where I forgive people because everybody has their story. But just because you forgive them, even if they remain toxic, you don't have to be a part of their lives. I love my dad from a distance. I love my mom. But losing my mom really hit. And then 2 months later, losing my son to suicide while we're home. We're home. And he does it right there in the house, with all his siblings home. And they all love him so freaking much. Losing him, I think, was probably the worstest pain I've ever gone through besides all my childhood trauma. I would choose childhood trauma over losing a child. And I think as a mother, I went through a stage of blaming myself, blaming my husband, blaming my kids. I went through that roller coaster of grief, and then realizing that I need to forgive myself, and that I do the best that I can, and that nothing's going to bring him back, even if I choose to blame my husband, my kids, my dad, my mom. myself. It's not going to do me any good. So losing him, I think, was the worst. And watching my babies see that, see their favorite sibling not here anymore, is, and then just seeing him do what he did. They didn't, we were downstairs and went upstairs, and you can't stop little ones from seeing that. So it's like, that's what happened. And you know um it's very traumatic. And by far, I have to say that losing a child is the most traumatic thing that I've ever gone through and had to overcome, and I'm still overcoming it.
Yeah, I can imagine.
That day, I was kind of upset at him because he had stolen the computer. Because I'm not controlling, I'm very protective.
Mm,
um and I got upset because I didn't want him to have a headache, because he had a headache from being on the computer, stealing the computer from my room the other night, because I limit him.
yeah,
And he had a headache, so I was like, I don't want you to have a headache. I don't think you understand. Like, do you think I like watching you be in pain? Like, it was just a mom, but the way I came off, I could have been a little bit nicer about it. And I was just so frustrated because I've been working like 14 days straight already, and then we didn't have water for 3 days. So like, the way I came off probably hurt his feelings. And that's probably one regret I have as a mom. Like, I try not to have regrets, but in that moment as a mother, that's probably like the worstest moment I ever had, was that moment. But so I ended up apologizing to him after, and he ended up helping me do a bunch of things that my oldest didn't want to help me do. Um and he ended up making lunch for all his siblings, and I didn't even ask him. He ended up trying to make everyone happy that day that he did what he did. And that's what I try to hang on to, is that's who he is.
mm,
That's who my son is. And he didn't mean to try and hurt anybody. He actually thought that taking himself away would make everybody happy, because that's what he thought would make everyone happy. And he was wrong.
mm,
And it was just that he was going through emotions that he probably didn't understand and how to cope with. And he was just putting himself in such a dark place, and I wasn't aware of it. And I'm not perfect. I'm not going to know every single thing about my child, but I know that he's a good kid. I know that he didn't mean what he did, and I know that in his last moments he was trying to apologize to me. And that's what I hang on to, not the fact that I lost him, but the
mm,
fact that he was such a good kid. And everything he leaves behind is memories of him being such an amazing person.
yeah,
Talents he had, how he made his siblings smile, how he would do anything for his mom. And when going through that kind of grief, that's what you do. You look for the positive,
yeah,
even when there's a lot of negative.
yeah,
And the biggest negative is losing them.
yeah. But you have to. Like we were talking about before, you have to look at anything good in the situation to give yourself a little sparkle of hope.
You just have to go through it.
Yeah,
And if you don't, then you're gonna stop yourself from healing, and you're just gonna circle back. And I did that for months,
yeah,
honestly. I was numb. I didn't want to feel, actually. I didn't want to believe that if I screamed his name, he wouldn't come running. I don't even say his name anymore. It's sad. But it doesn't mean that I don't stop thinking about him. It doesn't mean that I don't stop praying for him. It doesn't mean that I don't stop praying that I get to see him again one day. And I stay focused on positive and just praying. God hears me. I'm not alone. And that's what I believe in.
yeah. And how beautiful that you get to share with people who your son is and who your son was. And the kind of young man that he was to his siblings, because that shows their true character, I believe, is how they treat their brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
Because those are the people you're nicest and meanest to.
Yep. We have videos of him. Just, I wish sometimes I was that kid. you know? It makes me proud when I look back at all his videos and how he was such a great big brother, and that the kids still love him and remember him for that.
Yeah,
And even with my kids, like, they're all different ages, so they all grieve and they all went through it, and I had to be there for them. couldn't be selfish. But I did take my time to myself, because if I didn't take time to myself, it couldn't be available to them.
Right.
And that would be very selfish of me. And I don't think Jason, my son, would want that. So when I look at the loss of my child, I'm like, I'm not gonna let you down. Mom is gonna do better.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like, I'm gonna do better. So I took time to heal myself so that I could help my kids, because I
Yeah.
don't want them to go and end up feeling like that too,
Yeah.
you know? And so I put them into a sport that my oldest, the one my oldest does. My second oldest was supposed to. Like, we were so close to signing him up. Like, he was supposed to start soccer. He was supposed to go into jujitsu because he was good at those things, like self-taught. And so I kept them busy. I found something for my kids to be able to heal and not be able to feel, like, be able to feel, but like be able to stay busy so that they
Yeah.
don't think,
Yeah. Because when
darkness.
they're busy and then they get to think about it, they've already expended a lot of that like anxious energy out into their sport. And now when they think about it, they can think about it in a good way.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that sports are so important for kids. I
I think
really do.
so.
I think that it can make or break some kids if they play a sport. And
Mhm.
it all I think sports are so good for so many different things, but like it you're not the first person that said that having them busy while helping them heal was the best thing. Because
Mhm.
we know how to be okay with ourselves alone for a little while, mostly,
Yeah.
and then do some of that processing and some of that work. But kids, they don't understand all of that.
No.
So they need something to kind of distract them a little bit
Mhm.
some of the time. And then they can think some of the time about the
Yeah.
sad things
Yep.
because that just kind of helps them go, look, okay, life goes on. Mom made sure
Mhm.
that we're busy, but it's okay if we're sad and cry about Big Brother too because we miss him and we
Yep.
we feel that loss too.
Exactly. And I actually sometimes I would let myself cry in front of them, so that they could see that it's okay.
Yeah.
You can cry. I know you miss him, and I
Yeah.
do too. So I would show them that, and my daughter would be, "Why are you crying, mommy? You miss my brother?" And I do, and it's okay to cry. That's what I would tell them. It's okay. If you want to cry, you can cry. It's okay. I know you. And she would start crying with me, and it'd just be like this cute moment of healing and grieving, and even with my other son, my third son, who's the one that found him, he didn't understand what was going on that day too. He was like, he's pretending, mom, and there's ketchup everywhere.
Oh,
I think that's the hardest part, is that was his best friend, that was who he was closest to, because they are just so much alike, and that's who he reminds me of. He reminds me of Shazen so much. He's not close with his older brother because they're so different. He was close to that one the most. And so, like, even now, I try to bring it up. I say, it's okay to talk about it. I don't want you to get angry. I don't want you to get sad and feel like you're all alone, because you're going to go through changes. And I don't want you to feel like she's in it. I don't want you to feel like you're alone, because you're not. We love you. We're here for you. And even if you don't want to talk to us, you can go see someone else. Like, I always bring that up. Like, you don't have to just talk to mom and dad, but we're here.
yeah.
Call us if you want to text us. Even if we're in the same home and you just want to type it out, go ahead.
Yeah.
Tell us how you're
The
feeling.
easiest way for you to do it, do it.
Exactly. I,
Yeah.
I want him to understand that. So I tell him that, because he misses his brother. He feels lonely sometimes.
Mhm.
And it's like, so we try to be there for him, and jujitsu is it for him. Like, he loves the sport.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so proud of him, because he's putting all of that whatever he's feeling and going through into something that he loves,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
talks about,
Channeling that energy into something good that helps him and helps lift
yeah,
him. And it helps with his self-confidence
uh-huh,
and it helps with his ability to be better at the sport. Like it just helps so much stuff, him just going and doing those things all the
hmm,
time. And how beautiful of an example you are to show your kids, not just tell your kids it's okay to cry, but to show your kids it's okay to cry.
hmm,
Let's cry together.
yep. Like, we can be going somewhere, just happy moment, and I can like, I literally will lose it, because I'm like, I miss Shazen. Like, where's the life to the party? Like, he's not
Yeah.
here. And it sucks, because at that time too, like I said, we didn't have water for 3 days, and I was just so tired, and there was a lot going on, and, and we were planning a trip, like, we literally were gonna go out of town and do some fun stuff with the kids, and then that happened,
Yeah.
and it was so much at once, and, I try to just go through it because that day and seeing what I saw, it's something you can't forget.
Yeah.
It's like PTSD,
Yeah.
And so every time I get it, it's hard for me to breathe through, but I learn to breathe through it. Like I will hyperventilate because it's like I'm seeing it replay, right?
Yeah.
So I breathe through it and I pray. And then I feel happy after. I cry and I'm like, thank you, God. Thank you, God. And I talk to my son, I pray, and I talk to him through prayer. And I always remind him how much I love him. And I go, if you can hear me, mom loves you and I miss you, and sometimes I just scream his name too when I just miss him. And I'm alone, I scream his name.
Yeah.
And I go, I know you can hear me. I know you can hear me. I miss you so much. And I wish you didn't do what you did, but it is what it is, son. And mom is gonna get through it, and one day I'll make it back to you and see you again. But until then, I always tell him I'm so sorry and I love you and I'm never gonna stop loving you. Your siblings love you, and I talk to him, and I feel like if you really lost somebody you love, it's okay. You're not gonna pretend that they're there, but you can say a prayer, and let it out. Whatever you're feeling, just let it out. It's okay.
Yeah.
Don't hold it in. We're humans. We're allowed to feel. It's part of our genealogy, whatever you want to call it.
It's
It's
part of
part
our
of us.
it's part of who we're supposed to be.
Exactly. We
It's like we
cry.
talked about before. If you didn't know how sad you could feel, you could never know how beautiful and joyful and happy you could feel. Like
Exactly.
we have to have those polar opposites. We
Mhm.
have to have those things that are really hard so we can just strive for the things that are really good and feel the things that are really good when they come into our lives because we're meant to feel joy, but we
Mhm.
have to know sorrow to really truly appreciate and feel that joy.
Mhm.
Without that sorrow, it would just be like, you know what I mean? Like if you never knew what it was like to be sad or to lose somebody, you would never know what it's like to just be full of joy and happiness and peace.
Mhm.
Like we have to have those contradictions.
Just like if I never knew what it was like to be poor and have nothing, I wouldn't know how to appreciate what I have now.
Yeah.
Like having the bare minimum to me, I'm happy.
Having all of your
Because
bills
I
paid
didn't
and your kids
no, no,
fed,
even if my bills,
clothed.
if I'm just getting by, I'm
Yeah.
okay. I'm
Yeah.
happy. You know why? Because my kids are still fed. They have clothes on their back. They have a roof over their head. They have running water. They have toothpaste, toothbrush. They have
Yeah.
every necessity that they need to live, and even if I'm
And
not
a happy
rich,
home.
exactly. And they have a mom and a dad that
Yeah.
love them and will provide for them and will stand by them. I am everything my parents couldn't be.
Yeah.
And I am proud of myself because I am who I wish I was, but I cannot project what happened to me onto my kids. And that's something I'm learning as a parent.
Yeah.
Like, even though I didn't have these things, it's not their fault that they don't know what I came from.
Yeah.
And even if I tell them, that's something I'm still learning today. I'm still trying to learn to adapt to the new me because if I go back to the Rosin, I would tell her, you're going to make it one day. You'll be fine. Everything you're going through is going to build you to be the mom that you are today. And I am grateful for everything. Everything is a blessing from the Lord, and I feel like everything that has happened, even losing my son and my mom the way I did, and going through the trauma and the abuse, that's my testimony to help someone out there. God is
Yeah.
using my story to help someone out there.
Yeah. And I truly believe that those of us who do go through these hard things and experience trauma and abuse and whatever it is, but then we don't become a victim or we don't turn to drugs or alcohol or we don't turn into abusers ourselves. We decide, no, I'm going to be protector, but I'm also going to heal. Because
Mhm.
if I heal and I protect, I'm going to save as many people as I can.
Mhm.
Not that it's all on us, but whatever we can do to share our message so that people know they're not alone.
Mhm.
To share the message so that your other little boy doesn't feel like he's a burden, like it would be better if he wasn't here.
Yeah.
So that kids can know that it's okay no matter what you go through, it's going to be okay.
Yep.
Nothing is nothing is so horrible that you can't pull yourself out of it. I mean, I when you worked with other kids, I'm sure you heard all kinds of crazy stories and all kinds of horrific things that people go through. But
Mm.
some of the worst things that people go through, those people become some of the greatest people
Mhm.
because they
Mhm.
will not shut up and they'll keep sharing their message until they
Exactly.
run out of breath. They will share their message because when you've seen the ugliest side of things and then you get to see the beautiful side of things, you want to pull everybody to the beauty
Mhm.
because living in the ugly and the messy and the dark forever is not it.
No,
Is
it's
not
not.
it.
Mhm.
And that's no way to live. And nobody deserves to live like that. I don't care what you've been through in your life. I don't care if you've been a horrible person at some point in your life. Nobody deserves to live in a miserable, ugly, dark place.
Yep.
And God is always there for all of it.
Mm. I feel like people can change too, you know,
That's what
and
healing is.
forgive yourself because maybe that abuse that you receive is carrying on. And I see that with a lot of people, especially from where I'm from. I see that they carry on the cycle instead of breaking it because they think that's normal, you know, and it's not. Break the cycle. Make the change. You didn't like the feeling. Don't carry it
Yeah.
on, you know?
And it's hard. It's okay. It's going to be hard.
Mhm.
And you're going to mess up a bunch
Oh
before you
yeah,
get it right.
definitely. And I
But don't stop.
exactly. Don't stop. Mhm.
Don't stop. And like we were talking before about healing, like healing looks different for everybody.
Mhm.
But what healing can look like the same for everyone is feeling a little bit better every day and doing
Exactly.
one thing a little bit better every single day because all we can do is get better than we were yesterday.
Mhm.
And it doesn't have to be by leaps and bounds. And
Exactly.
sometimes if you have the next day and you just kind of feel like you're stagnant, hey, you're still here
Exactly.
and you're still trying. And
Like
it's okay to have a hard day and not make that progress one
yeah,
day or
it's
2
okay.
days.
Sometimes you're not gonna see progress for years or
Yeah.
even or months or days, whatever it may look like for you. But at least you got up and tried, and you should give yourself that credit.
Yeah.
Some people fail to do that. They fail to validate themselves and recognize that they are making that change because they want that for themselves, you know?
Yeah.
They're so hard on this. I failed. I can't do this. No, no, yes you can.
You
And
can.
that's where I am as a parent and as a friend, as just someone out there sharing my story is yes you can and it's okay to fail. Just keep getting up. Keep doing for yourself because only you can do for you. Only you can make that change. I can't go over there and say, I'm going to do this for you. You have to do it for you. And you have to understand it doesn't matter what you think, they think, it's what you think.
Yeah.
And if you failed, it's okay. Tell yourself it's okay. It's okay. You tried. Give yourself that credit,
Yeah.
you know? And people fail to do that.
Because trying is hard
Yeah.
sometimes too.
Yeah,
Just
exactly.
especially that first time that you're trying to change anything, because
Mhm.
changing is hard.
It
We
is.
are raised a certain way, and that stuff, like when we get to be a certain age, it's pretty cemented in there.
Yes.
And so we got to do some chipping to get that stuff out and get the good stuff
Oh,
back in.
yeah.
And that takes time. And
Mhm.
it's ugly, messy, and it hurts.
Oh,
And it's
yeah.
not something you wake up and I get to heal today.
Yeah,
No,
no.
you wake up and you go, okay, I'm gonna do this.
Mhm.
And it's like it feels like it has to be conscious at first too.
Mhm.
But the beautiful thing is it becomes like something that you do every single day. And it stops becoming work and it starts becoming part of who you are.
Exactly.
Is just going, "Oh, I get to be better today. I get
Mhm.
to be better today. I get to heal a little bit more. And something tragic happens. The next tragic thing that happens, you can handle it a little bit better because you've got this understanding and beautiful like toolbox of things that you know what to do with to
Mhm.
help you through that next hard thing.
Yes.
But the thing I love the most about hard things is the growth that we get to experience because of them. Because I guarantee, I already know that you're one of the most resilient, beautiful women that I've ever met
Thank
because
you.
of what you've been through, because you didn't become the victim, become the abuser, you know, become what you came from. You decided, I want better. It started with your little brothers. I want better for them. And then it turned into, I want better for me. And now it's turning into, I want better for my children.
Mhm.
And all of that, like, think about what you've done for your children so far
Mhm.
and yourself and seeing the beauty that you are and that you are willing to share your story with people, be vulnerable and show that like rawness of you shows like look, I'm not perfect and I'm not
Mhm.
whole completely, but I'm doing all the work because it's so worth it
It
for my
is.
children to grow up with all those things that you just listed, but love in the home.
Mhm.
And know that mom and dad are always here. If we ever need anything, we can turn to mom and dad and they were there for us. Those are things that like you didn't have,
No.
but you're providing that for your children because you're like,
And it's
I'm
not
gonna
because
fix
they
this.
deserve it, it's because it's just that's how it's supposed to be. You know? It's not that they deserve it. It's supposed to be mother nature. You
Yeah,
have kids, they're supposed to be nurtured. Like it's supposed to be given already. It's not you have to earn my love. No, you
right.
don't have to earn my love. I'm here 100%.
Mm.
Mom is here, dad is here. We're going to be everything and we weren't, but I'm not going to project what I went through on you. And that's something I had to
Yeah.
learn and undo. And like I said, becoming a parent's not there's no handbook. I went through challenges. I had 2 kids with someone I'm not with, you know what I mean? And ended up on my own with these 2 kids, and still learning and learning to not carry on the habits that my parents projected or the abuse that I did. And let's just say some of it, like my anger, I had anger issues for a while. And that I had to slowly break. I was like, I hate it. I'm looking like my dad. Like that's me being like, I didn't like that. Why am I acting like that? But I had to recognize that's something I didn't like. Why would I do that? Why would
Yeah.
I be like that? That's ugly. But I couldn't be so hard on myself, and I was, and that's where I was projecting anger. And so I had to fix that. But it took a while. It didn't like snap my fingers. Like I fell down. I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. Forgive me, God, because I know that I hate who that is. But here I am. But Lord, please forgive me. Help me, guide me, get me through to be the parent that you need me to be because you blessed me with these beautiful kids. They are blessings to me. They're not burdens, they're blessings, and they're going through stages of life that I wish I had someone there for me at that time. And going into foster care had been the best blessing ever. My friend's mom making that phone call, and my brothers going into foster care. Yeah, I hated that we got separated, but we were all in the same family.
Yeah.
And to me that was a blessing because they were going to ship my brother off because he had a lot of from being a baby born with drugs in the system.
Yeah.
They come out with issues,
Yeah.
and so they were going to ship him off. But then my foster family decided that this one they were going to take my brother and they were going to take my other brother, and so we're just like we'd do family gatherings and we'd all be together. It was like we weren't separated. It's just it was the way they had it is so we could grow up and heal. And so they knew I was trying to be a mom to them, and that was like the role I was stuck in. So they wanted me to be a kid. They wanted
Mm.
me to learn to be a kid, right? Because I had to
Yeah.
grow up so quickly and
Yeah.
take care of these 2 little
Well, I mean,
boys.
5, 6, 7 years old, you were probably doing that stuff,
Mhm.
So it's not like you got to have a childhood. You got to do all the things that your kids are blessed to have right now, those experiences and that home life where they don't have to be burdened with having to feed their siblings and,
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
you're not there.
Yep.
You have chosen to shed the past, shed the trauma that happened to you, not make it a part of your life. And like that's the one thing I hope people hear from your message today too is like it doesn't matter where you came from. You get to choose the direction of your life.
You make that choice.
Yeah.
And something I didn't share is what my son actually went through, my child that I lost. I went through the same thing he went through. My foster mom put me into it, but I was showing it and I was saying it, and I was like putting it out there. And she put me in an institution and got me help. And that's where I learned some of my coping mechanisms is in there. And I was around other kids who, like I said, and I also did a lot of group therapy, which put me in a predicament where I met so many other different kids. And that right there is something I carry. But even after being a teenager and learning all these things, I still went through a little bit of trauma as a young adult, and being a single mom. I At one point
Yeah.
I did become an alcoholic, but it was like you're gonna lose your kids or you're gonna quit drinking. So I knew what I wanted. I
Well,
was
and
done
you
with
knew what
drinking.
they would feel like if you chose that over them
Exactly. So I
because
couldn't
you
do
felt
that.
that.
Yeah, I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So I chose my kids over drinking. I was like, okay, I'm done, like cold turkey. I don't need it. And so I quit drinking, and I just worked and built myself up to become independent again because my ex, he had taken everything. He took his
Yeah.
car, he took our savings, like we separated. And he was just so into himself and building himself up that he didn't care. So my foster parents actually helped me with my two kids. They actually helped me get back onto my feet, supported me. So like I said, that's a blessing. And I'm
Yeah.
fortunate because foster parents aren't always like that. Some of
Yeah.
them are not like that.
They're
There's
like,
some
"Oh, you're 18."
bye. No,
Yeah.
it's a true
No,
thing.
I know.
And I got fortunately blessed with a really good family. And I say that because this woman, like, if you met her, you'd be like, she is like a superwoman. Okay. She had her own kids and she was still taking on, like, she was at max capacity and she still wanted to help other
Yeah.
kids, you know? And it was like, dude,
'Cause they're kids. It's really
yeah.
hard to say no to kids. For
She
me
goes in,
anyways, too.
she goes into that with a,
Yeah.
you know, a loving heart.
Yeah.
And to be even like, you know, exposed to someone like that, it teaches you, right? It teaches you like this is healthy, this is not healthy. Like, do I want to look like this? Do I want to look like that? You know? So it gave me the opportunity to know right from wrong, but I still went through my challenges.
Yeah, because you still had your abuse that you had to heal from. So
Exactly.
you graduate from high school, that doesn't make you go, "Oh, I know how to do all this now," because I had a good foster mom.
Yeah.
That
No.
was 4 years of your life. To that point, you had 4 years of a healthy home
Hmm.
and what, 15, 14 years of chaos? So it's like that stuff still is there
Hmm.
until you do something with it. And
Exactly.
sometimes it doesn't come out till you have your own kids or there's just it comes out at the most bizarre times.
Hmm.
But when it comes up, that's when you get to do something with it.
Yep.
And you can be messy for a minute while you figure out what's going on because you're like, why am I wanting to drink? Why am I doing these things that I hated that my parents did? But
Hmm.
it's just how it is. It's just how that shows up for people sometimes. But the beautiful thing is you made the change
And I survived.
and you survived. And not just survived, I would say you're thriving.
Well, that too.
Yeah, you're thriving. I'm not saying life's perfect and you're never going to be sad again or anything like that, but you're thriving because you have made such incredible changes to not just your life, but your children's life. And that's going to just affect generations after you. Like,
Hmm.
I guarantee if you look at that, like your family tree in 100 years, you're going to see all these people that didn't have to be abused
Exactly.
because of you,
Right.
because of one person that made the change.
Mhm. And I make sure that my kids know that what is healthy and what is not,
Yeah.
you know? And that's something I didn't have, but I knew that I didn't like it, you
Yeah.
know? And to hear my mom's story, my dad's story, it was just that's what really woke me up at one point too, just, you know, knowing that everyone has a story and you can't just judge a book by its cover because there's a story behind that.
Yeah, and like you said, you've come to like understand where your parents were coming from because of their trauma and abuse. Because trauma and abuse can show up ugly. I mean, you started drinking,
Hmm.
and that's the last thing you wanted for your kids or
Yep.
yourself or your family or whatever. That's not what you wanted, but it shows up ugly sometimes.
Hmm.
But then that's when you have to look it in the face and say, "What am I going to do with this?
Hmm.
Am I going to take the easy way and keep drinking because it's easier?"
Yeah.
Or am I gonna make a change because I don't want this because you didn't really want it for yourself
No.
either. But it was just the thing that comes up because it's easy.
Yeah. It was covering up whatever I was going through, and I was like, "No. Nope, not gonna nope, you're not taking my kids from me. Don't ever say that to me. I love my kids too much.
The
They're my
mama bear
life."
showed up.
Yeah. And I was like, you know, I was a young mom and, you know, I went through a lot of health issues too, and I don't really like to talk about that stage of life, but I went through some health challenges and then got blessed with my two boys and then became a single mom and then eventually met my husband now who I have four kids with. But we both come from like I kind of like I got into a relationship with someone that came from like a similar background as me, like trauma, you know? And for me that made me connect with him and together we heal. We healed each other. And I guess a lot of people say, why is your relationship so strong? It's not that it's strong, it's because we came from what we started at and we work to help each other instead of work against each other. And sometimes it doesn't always work that way, but that's what happened with me and him. And now we're married after 14 years and 4 kids. I mean, he raised my two oldest, so I would say after 6 kids, but I mean 4 together.
Yeah.
Um, and raising this mixed blended family that we had. And he calls my two other boys his sons too, because that's his. He raised them,
Yeah.
and we went through so many trials and challenges, and having similar backgrounds made it so much easier because we understood each other a lot more,
Yeah.
and I'm not saying that's for everyone, but just for our relationship, that's how it is. And we I helped my husband a lot because he also never really receives help. He just relies on himself. I
Yeah.
got to be a man.
Well, that's the difference. I think men are told to just suck it up and deal with it
Yep.
more than women are.
Hmm.
And I think men still need like that space to breathe
Yep.
and let some of that stuff out, because
Hmm.
that's the only way that we can get through it, is if we process through it
Yep.
instead of keep shoving it back down, because it's always going to come back up.
Yep.
It's like a life jacket in the water. You can shove it down, but it's going to come back up.
Hmm.
It's always going to come back up until you go, oh, I need to get rid of that.
I need to deal with it and to
Yeah.
face it head on. And that's how we ended up getting married, because he ended up
Yeah.
facing it on. It's like, I can't help you. You have to help yourself.
Yeah.
I am here
I'll
to
support you.
support you.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And everyone needs support.
Oh,
And
yeah.
and it's if you want to accept it, you
Yeah.
know. And sometimes accepting is pushing away, but you really want it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I've been there. I pushed away.
Yeah.
I went as an adolescent, and all the trauma I went through, I didn't want to live. It wasn't comfortable in my body.
Yeah.
It was abused so much. And
Yeah.
I was a little girl. Only have brothers, and I got abused by all the men that I loved, my
Well, and
uncles.
they took something
Yeah.
from you that you could never get back. So that affects you.
Being raped was probably the worst. I think that took a lot for me. And after that, it was like no one believed me,
Yeah. Yeah.
It was a grown man, and I'm a child.
Yeah.
Now, when I look back at it, I'm like, I was a child. No one protected me.
Yeah.
Why was no one protecting me? But it's okay now, because grown Rosalind, healed that little girl. And now I can be a better parent to my children, because I didn't like how she felt. So
Yeah.
maybe I'm a little bit overprotective, but you
That's
know,
okay. I
it
was
comes
raised by
from a
an
good place.
overprotective father that was experienced a lot of trauma when he was little too. Unfortunately, he didn't get to like do all the healing that because they just said, oh, okay, we won't see those people anymore. We just move on with our life.
Hmm.
He never really got help for it when he was young. And so I think that it always affected him to a certain
Projected.
degree.
Yeah.
Like yeah, he was very overprotective of all of his kids, and he had 13 kids. And so like all of us were,
13.
yeah, all of us, there was just, he did everything to make sure that we were always safe.
Hmm.
And so that's like, it's like what you were saying, like you either become an abuser or you become a protector.
Hmm.
And you chose protector. My dad chose protector, and I'm so grateful for that,
Hmm.
because who knows what my story would look like if
And I'm
I
always like trying to think 10 steps ahead. But I mean, I've gotten better. Honestly, I've gotten real better. Like, I've gotten more lenient. Like, it's less of a control thing, because I didn't want my kids to think it's about do what I say.
yeah.
No, it's not like that. This is not good to do, because
Yes.
this might happen to you. Or don't do this because that might happen to you. Not because, no, I said no. It's not going to work that way. You have to project love. And even if it's in a scolding way, but not in a, um what do
It's
you call
like
it?
tearing them down kind of
Yeah,
way.
and I
Yeah.
find that a lot. Like, I was in the store, and I'm not gonna just blast the parent. I'm just saying, like, just hearing that, like,
Yeah.
a kid was like by his parent, and the mom was
Oh,
like, she was just yelling at him, and it was just so ugly. And the grandma was right there, and I guess she's like that too. But get away from me! I want nothing to do with you. Get away from me! Like, don't touch me. Did you hear what I said? And I'm like, she's talking so loud, and I was just like, I didn't like the way that made me feel as a mom, and I was just like, I wanted to go over there and say something like, "Hey, please don't talk to the child loves you. Like, he's not being disrespectful in any way. He's just trying to talk to you, and you didn't want to hear his voice. Like, come on." Um, but just hearing that makes you really think, right? Like, oh, like, you're so hard on yourself. Like, I'm so hard on myself, and I'm like, wow, do I come off like that? Do I ever, like, you start thinking about your own self, but to really reflect on yourself and just know that you are doing the best that you can, and just trying to make that difference, and every little step that you take, even if you fall down, that matters. You matter.
Yeah.
You know, even if you're a grown woman and you're still trying to make the changes, at least you're trying. Give yourself that much, you
Yes.
know?
If you stop trying, that's when things just kind of slide off.
Hmm.
It takes work every day.
Yep. But
It
don't take
takes
the
work
easy way
every
out.
day.
Some people like to cover it up. They like to take the easy
Hide
route.
it, pretend
Yeah,
it
don't
doesn't
do that.
exist.
Don't do
It
that.
exists. It'll come back. Like
Yeah.
it might go away for a minute,
Yeah.
but
Don't.
it'll come back. It'll keep coming back
Hmm.
the rest of your life
Until you deal with it.
until you do something with it.
Exactly. And I realized that too. Like I just after having that, like I said, I grieved the relationship. I grieved the loss of my mom, my son, like you learn through different stages of your life that only you can make the change for yourself. Like literally. You go that way or that way. It's up to you.
Yeah.
And even if you're going the good way, not the easy way, the good way, you're still gonna make mistakes and it's okay.
Yeah.
Give yourself that credit. That's all I'm
Yes.
saying.
And
My
give
message,
yourself grace.
yes, show yourself grace. Everything you went through, it exists. It happened. But heal from it. Don't keep letting it weigh you down because that's you doing it to you. They're not doing it to you anymore. It's you doing it to
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
And I
They're
realize
gone. They don't even know.
exactly. They
Yeah.
don't even care. You can live, but you're choosing not to.
Yeah.
And so that's my message is that you can choose to live. Don't let it weigh you down. Heal from it because you can. It is
Yeah.
possible. I'm a living example after everything I went through. And I didn't go into detail with a lot of it, but some of the things that, still resonate with me that I talked about is things that were very traumatic to me and things that I do. My memory is like really focused on those events. And that's why it's like back and forth, back and forth. But those are things that I share because I want people to know that I come from a lot of it
Yeah.
and it did not weigh me down.
Yeah. It didn't break you.
It actually taught me to be better. It taught me that I didn't like that and that I can forgive that and that those things did happen to me. That little girl was abused. She was hurt. She was neglected. She was all of the above. And I'm still here. I'm a grown woman. I have 6 kids and I'm proud to be their mom. I'm not perfect.
Yeah.
I have my trials. Everyone does. We're human
Yeah.
beings. We're allowed to feel. We're allowed to make mistakes. But don't keep making mistakes. Do better for yourself because you
Yeah.
can. You
And
can.
pain and trials and struggles are part of life.
Mm-hmm.
It's how we learn. It's
Yep.
how we grow. It's almost like if we start to look at things that are hard as lessons instead of something that's just there to tear us apart,
Mm-hmm.
it might tear us a little bit. But when we get torn apart a little bit, we get to rebuild better.
Exactly.
And the beauty is the rebuilding.
Yep.
So I just love your words. I love like this perspective of like, don't stop trying. Like, just think of the little engine that could if you have to. And just for me, I like to focus on one thing, like with those thoughts that come up, because they'll come up that tell you you're not good enough, you're this, you're that, all those negative thoughts that come up, because they always do. I like to try and look at all the things that prove those thoughts wrong because
Mm-hmm.
they're always there.
Oh yeah.
And those thoughts are Satan trying to stop you from your
Yep.
progress. And the good thoughts are the thoughts that help keep you going.
Mm-hmm.
And God will encourage good thoughts.
Yep.
And when you have those negative thoughts, you push those away and you focus on the good thoughts because wherever your focus is where you go.
Mm-hmm.
And it's that simple. And if
It
you
is.
are having a hard time because you're in a negative space every day, get a piece of paper out every single day and write down 10 things you're grateful for
Exactly.
and shift your focus. And if you start doing that day after day after day, eventually you can skip a day and you'll realize that your mind looks for the good things throughout your day
Mm-hmm.
because you've taught yourself instead of looking at the negative, I'm going to focus on the positive. And
Exactly.
everything changes.
That's what God has done for me.
Yeah.
Exactly that. And I am not going to force anybody to believe in God, but that's what I believe in. That's what helped me when I'm having those bad days and those negative thoughts that creep in because they do. They come, the guilt trips come in and you're not good enough. That's why you lost your son. Like all those things come in. You know what I do? I pray. I cry and I say, Lord, forgive me. Because maybe I am not good enough. But you didn't create me to be perfect. I am a sinner and I'm sorry. But forgive me, Lord. I will try again tomorrow and I will
Yes.
do better. And
That's
I
all
will
he
do better.
wants.
Mm-hmm.
That's all that he wants. Because I believe in God too. Obviously, we've been talking a lot about God, but I truly feel like That's one of the greatest the greatest powers that we have access to is God.
Amen.
And if we remember that and we turn to Him, it doesn't matter how dark or ugly our life is, we will see a light, and we will see hope, and we will
Amen.
feel encouraged to want to change.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's what I want for everybody. That's what you want for everybody.
Yep.
And we're here for those that are looking for support and love.
Yes.
Just know that you got us.
Yep.
You got us for
Yep.
sure. I don't even have to know people, and I have a heart for people because I just love people, and I've experienced my own things in life, and that's given me my perspective. And I want everyone to feel the joy and the happiness that I get to feel because of the work that I have done.
Hmm.
And everybody can feel that.
Yep.
Everybody can get there. It takes that work that you've been talking
That's a
about.
blessing.
Yeah.
Right there. God is using you to help people like me share our stories
Yeah.
so that maybe we can save someone out there.
Yeah.
And that's all it takes. And I truly believe that no matter what you go through, you can choose to be a good person or bad person.
Yeah.
You can choose to be mean or kind. I work retail pretty much my whole life, worked retail. I deal with the grumpy people. You know what I do? What can you do? You're going to be grumpy back and argue with them? Or you're going to kill them with kindness? I would rather kill them with kindness because it gives them no reason to be mean. Why am I being mean to this kind person? I'm gonna just keep smiling. I'm so sorry. You
Yeah.
know? Because why?
But you don't know why that person's grumpy either. That's where my
Exactly.
mind always goes. Is like
Mhm.
when somebody's being awful, I'm like, wow, what's happened?
Exactly.
Because something has to happen for you to be
Mhm.
that miserable and that ugly and that mean.
You
Like
never know.
something in your life has made you feel like that's the way that you need to act.
You never know
And
what
how
someone's
sad.
going through. You
No, you
never know.
don't.
And growing up, I always, because I was like, I didn't have the things I needed as a teenager, and I didn't have nice clothes, and I was always teased for that. And out of all my cousins, like, I was the one that was didn't have those things, but all my cousins had nice clothes. They all had their mom or their dad, or they had better than me. You know what I mean? Or they had like a family member from their mom or the opposite side that would give to them. I didn't have any outlet from my real family, no outlet, either side. So for me, I always got bullied and whatnot. So that feeling I take with me. I'm a giver
Yeah.
for that very reason. I don't hang on to things. Losing my son, I realized all I had left is his things. He couldn't
Yeah.
even take it with him.
And you would trade all of that for him
Yeah.
if you could.
I don't care about. I would rather
Yeah.
be a bum on the street and have my
your son.
babies
Yeah.
and do the best that I can for them and live day by day than to have any material things. Material things mean nothing to me.
Yeah.
I would rather keep being in debt and give to people and see them smile than to have these things.
Yeah.
Or even to have money. To me, money is just a piece of paper.
Yeah.
But you can also use money to help people.
Yes.
And that smile, just making them feel happy in that second or whatever the moment is, or the interaction makes me happy. And it's not all about like having that feeling of feeling better than someone. No, it's not that. It's the feeling of being kind. It's the feeling of giving and knowing that your purpose is to let these people who are having like a hard life know that there's good people out there. There
Feel
really
blessed
is.
for a moment.
Exactly.
And know that God's looking out for them.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's using you and he's using me and he's using all of those who think of other people to bless each other. I have always taught my children, no matter what, you be a good person and you be kind to other people.
Mm-hmm. Because
what God really cares about is how we treat each other.
Mm-hmm.
I think that weighs more heavily in God's mind than, how successful. Well, I don't think any of that matters. But like, it's the most important thing, I believe, is how we treat each other.
It's our heart.
Yeah. He wants us to look out for each other.
Even when my girls, like, they hang on to their squishmallows. And, I gave them this habit of hanging on to these things. But I said, let's gather these things and let's go bless someone that doesn't have them. Let's give them away. But you paid a lot of money. It's not about the money. Let's do something nice for someone. My son, he wasn't playing with his Nerf guns. Posted it. This one mom, she reached out and she said, oh, someone stole my kid's Nerf guns. I'm like, come get it. It's yours. And my son's like, Mom, well, we spent a lot of money on that. I used a lot of my birthday money. I go, it's okay. Don't you want to give it to someone? It's not about hanging on to things and giving things away for free. It's about blessing someone.
Yeah.
It's just things. I'm like, you outgrew them. It's okay. We can give it away for free. We don't have to get something back for it. Just teaching them that concept of giving and giving from your heart,
Yeah.
not because you want something in return.
Unconditionally. Yeah.
Yeah. And not because you want something in return, but because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
It's the right thing to do. And that's what I want them. I want them to have that part of me, not the other part of me, but the part where I give and I love. And
Yeah.
it really does come from my heart.
Yeah.
And it really makes me feel happy. And I guess you could say from the trauma, that's probably the best thing I got is that I'm a giver.
Yeah.
And I like being kind to people. And I guess you could say the curse is being a people pleaser, which is something I'm trying to break because I don't have to please everyone,
Right.
but I can still just be kind.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Because there's a difference.
Mm-hmm.
There's just being kind, and then there's doing things because you feel like, oh, I just want everyone to like be happy.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's at the cost of our happiness.
Yeah. Yeah.
That people pleasing part.
Yeah.
And so that's one of those things that it's easy to shift into just let me just be kind.
Mm-hmm.
And it's okay if I have to say no sometimes to people because I have to make sure that my family and myself are taken care of
Mm-hmm.
also.
Yep.
If I'm just always giving and I'm never taking care of my family, then I'm doing a disservice to my family,
Mm-hmm.
even though I'm blessing so many others. It has to be that balance.
Yeah. I failed to share something as an adult that happened to me and my husband. So we were homeless at one point. We didn't have such good credit because as young kids, like I said, we come from trauma and we didn't know any better. We didn't have that kind of
They don't
guidance.
teach you that in school.
Well, my foster parents did provide that. They put me in all kinds of programs, got me all the, the education that I need. I even went to college after I turned 18. Like they set me up for that. But I still like wanted to feel loved because of all the trauma. Like I never felt loved in my foster home. I know my foster mom loved me, of course, right? But when you go through so much trauma, you don't feel that. You go searching for it sometimes in all the wrong places. So eventually when me and my husband met at one point, we had bad credits. Well, he had bad credit and I just ended up going downhill with that too. And so like we ended up rebuilding it and we started to go on such a great path with financials and everything, but we still had bad credit. So it was holding us back from getting a home. And so we got blessed out of nowhere. Like we were homeless. I was about to give birth to my fourth child. Yeah, my fourth child. Like we were gonna go get a hotel just to bring the baby home to some, and we got blessed with a 2-bedroom, 1 bath. Like it was crazy, like out of nowhere. And I was praying. I said, Lord, Father, I'm not just coming to you because I need something, but I trust that you are gonna provide for my baby. You've always showed up, and I'm just gonna continue just trusting you. Like even my husband at the time, we're like, we're just gonna go with it. We're gonna do what we have to do, and then all of a sudden we got blessed. It was crazy. And we lived there for 5 years. The people that owned the house, like they were so amazing to us. But you can be like, that's an example. You can be in the most harshest times thinking like nothing can happen good for you. Like, like you just feel like you're at the end. Like you have nothing and nobody. And then there's God. There's God. I'm telling you, there's God. And
He shows up.
He shows
He
up
provides
in all kinds of ways. And it's whether you're going to receive or you're not. It's all on you.
Well, I want to
God's
point out
love is
something
free.
too, is like, I remember it made me remember this quote that I heard one time that said, faith and fear both require you to believe in something that hasn't happened yet. So you could have been fearful that you were going to be homeless for who knows how long, but you decided to be faithful that the Lord would provide for you. And sometimes he needs to see our faith. And sometimes he waits till it's the 11th hour to show us that he's going to provide, because our faith has to carry us through that time.
Yep.
Even the very last second when you feel like, okay, it's time to get a hotel because we're about to have this baby. And the Lord's like, actually, here you go. Because you chose to be faithful and believe that he would provide, and he did.
So before that, we had gotten scammed by this person that was projecting to be the owner of our home. So from going from that to that, like we never gave up hope. We just stayed faithful and like just trusting that the Lord is going to guide us, and we're just going to believe that God is there, right? And it's not because we want something. We're just truly believing that our Father has got us. That's all we have is God.
Well, I'm sure you weren't just sitting there like, okay, make it happen. You were doing things. You were looking. You were doing what you could do from where you were. And that's what's required of us, is to do
Right.
all that we can, and he will make the difference up.
Mhm.
He will take it that extra 5 steps and get us there.
Yep. I was searching and I was praying and I was like, "You know what? Just gonna leave it in God's hands. We're gonna do what we have to do." And I mean, just sharing that right there, that's like a miracle to me. You know,
Yeah.
we had nowhere to go.
No, that is a miracle. I believe that's a miracle.
Yeah.
Because, you had probably been trying for a while, and it was just like a place fell through. Did they take your money?
She gave us some of it back.
Uh,
Not she took some of it, but it was okay. Like for us, it was like, you know what? We just learned from it and moved on.
yeah.
Like we didn't.
You
What we're
can't
well,
sit there and worry about
yeah.
that.
What we're gonna
That
do?
happened. Okay.
Exactly.
Not do anything. Let's move on
So
to
we just
what we need to get done, which is find a place to live.
so we just lived, and then that happened, and we went upwards from there.
Yeah.
Like that was where it all began, from us going uphill,
Yeah.
and then we ended up moving here. And now we're homeowners. After all the loss that we went through and all the trials that we went through in this past few years of losing my son, like I feel like where we're at in life is because of God. Our careers, our children, healing, and the relationship we have with my older son now, and just everything.
Yeah.
It's a blessing. It's God.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's tragic, the loss of your son, but to be able to still move the pieces along the path, because
Yep.
you still have to live your life.
Yep.
And just to be able to continue to do that, and then also continue to see the blessings in your lives,
Mhm.
even through tragedy, just shows the work that you've done, the
Yep.
healing that you've done, and the hope that you bring to other people.
Mhm.
Thank you so much for being here today, Roslyn, and sharing your story. I really appreciate you, and I really appreciate your vulnerability.
Thank you for having me here.
Yeah. Is there
Like,
anything that you would like to say to anybody who might be suffering right now, that maybe bring it back around and close with something that you want people to just really hear if they're having a hard time?
whether it be grieving, struggling with something, anything, just no matter what season are going through, have faith and choose to believe that you matter, because you do. You are someone, you are here for a reason, and you have an amazing life to live still. And choose to live that life, and choose to one day share that testimony of what you come from, because one day you could be that person sharing your story, that all your hardship that you've gone through is not unnoticed. It does matter. You are going through it. Your feelings are valid. You are feeling and you are going through everything you are going through. And yes, you matter, and those things matter, and it happened to you. But just know that God loves you, and God's love is free. And you can choose to have faith and to move forward, or you could choose to not, but you can do it. And my message is, you can do it. You can do better for you, because only you can. And I know you can, because I'm here
Yeah.
and I did it, and I know you can. And we all learn in different ways, and we all process in different ways, and it's okay. Whether you want to cry, you want to write in a journal, you want to scream at the top of a mountain, do it. Do whatever makes you feel good. Just not in the bad ways, but like
Yeah.
in a good way. And it's okay to do those things. It's okay to feel. But just know that your life matters, and you don't have to do things to hurt yourself, to feel, to take away the feelings that you're feeling. Let yourself feel.
Yeah.
Don't cover it up. Feel it.
Yeah. The good, the bad, and the ugly.
Exactly. Feel it
Feel it all.
all. And
Yeah.
and you know what? And do better for yourself, because you matter. And that's my message to everyone out there that is struggling. You matter. Everything you've gone through, no matter what it is, you matter. Do better, and you still can do better, and just feel and go through it and heal from it. And we love you.
Yeah.
I may not know you, but we love you.
Yeah, we do.
And we love you as a person, and God loves you, because we are all family through God.
Yeah.
We're all people.
And look for that. Look for somebody out there that you can draw strength from, maybe
Mhm.
for a time, while you don't feel like you have your own, I think, too.
Yep.
Yeah.
And reach out and get the help you need if you
Yeah.
need help. There is help out there.
Yeah.
Like, go to church, go somewhere. Don't ever feel ashamed to receive help, because guess what? We're all humans. And don't think about what people are thinking or gonna judge you about. Worry about you.
Yeah.
Worry about you. Get yourself help, heal from it, so you can be happy and live life, because you can. You
Yeah.
can live. You're doing it already.
Yeah.
That's my message to everyone.
Thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure talking to you today, and I've just loved to hear your beautiful insights and to hear your story. As hard as it was to hear, it's just so beautiful to see the light that you are now, despite how you were raised and the trauma that you've been through. And it is such a hope to people who are going through something hard. Doesn't matter what age you are or how you grew up, you get to decide for yourself as you get older. And I love that you're that light. You're like that beacon for hope for people
Hmm.
who are struggling and suffering.
Yep.
So, if you want to, would you like to share where people could connect with you, like maybe Instagram or Facebook, or
I'm on Instagram and Facebook. You can reach out to me wherever. I'm even on TikTok. And a lot of times when I feel vulnerable, I share. Sometimes I don't, but when I feel like sharing, I share it. And if you ever are going through anything, feel free to reach out to me. I'm
yeah,
there for you. I may not be able to offer you any major solutions, but I am there for you. You matter. And I would love to talk to you. You know, I'd
yeah,
love to comfort you. Even if I don't know you, I love you. Like you're a
yeah,
human being. We're people. We're
yeah,
supposed to love on each other.
yeah? We're supposed to do this together too,
Yeah,
not alone.
exactly.
That's why we live in
There's support out
communities.
there.
Yeah,
Reach out to me.
yeah.
Don't be shamed.
We'll
Send me a
tag all your
message.
stuff in the notes so that people know where to find you
Hmm.
too. Well, it's been a beautiful blessing to talk to you tonight. And I just want everyone out there to know that if you or someone you know is struggling with thoughts of suicide, please remember that 988 is available 24/7, 7, so that you can, anytime you're feeling down or you feel like you need to talk to somebody, you can always reach out there as well. Thank you and God bless.